Hey, I'm Brad Milkey, and if you're hooked on this show, you know how quickly a single story can turn into something bigger, deeper, more complex than anyone first thought. Well, for a smart, clear breakdown of the day's top stories, including true crime cases like this one, check out Start Here, the daily podcast from ABC News. Every weekday morning, my team and I will walk you through what's happening in the world and why it matters in just 20 minutes. You'll even hear Matt Gutman's familiar voice every so often on the day's news. He's a regular, so follow Start Here. Again, that's Start Here, wherever you listen to podcasts.
January 25th, 2016, 3 days since the escape from the Orange County jail, and 3 men on the run. Dangerous men. Hundreds of officials, from Orange County Sheriff's deputies to the FBI, had been searching for the fugitives and had found nothing. For Southern California residents, nerves were beginning to fray. Deputy District Attorney Heather Brown, who had been working the Nayeri case, was worried too, for public safety, but also her own safety. When Nayeri had escaped, he had left a printed picture of her and fellow DA Matt Murphy on his bunk. It seemed like a clear message. I'm coming for you. And now, it could be anywhere.
And Matt Murphy came to me and said, Heather, they're out of leads. And we need, at this point, the sheriff's asked us to alarm the public. And you're just the girl to do it. So
Heather Brown called a reporter from the Orange County Register. He asked her about Nayeri's escape from jail. Was she calling for a sheriff's investigation to find out how that had happened? Brown said that it should be looked into.
I don't even know how he escaped, but certainly we have questions. How did it happen so we can take measures so it doesn't happen again? But I have no idea. This is what happens when you house seasoned criminals and jails are overcrowded and underfunded. Then he said, what was your first thought when you learned he escaped? And I said, when I got that text, I thought, oh my God, they let Hannibal Lecter out. And then I said, don't quote me on that. I'm not saying, he was eating body parts, but I'm just saying, of all the people to escape, this wasn't a guy who stole a car. This is someone who's capable of the most atrocious, heinous acts, and people are in harm's way. That's what I said to him. He goes, where do you think he went? I go, I don't know. If it was me, I'd be in Mexico drinking margaritas by now. But if I were Hossein Nayeri, I would be in the first non-extraditable country I could find.
By the next morning, the Orange County Register's headline did boost awareness of the hunt for Nayeri, though not in the way Heather Brown might have been hoping for.
Front line of the paper, Hannibal Lecter on the loose. DA calls for a sheriff's investigation. Apparently, you're supposed to make that comment about, don't quote me on that before you make the quote. But in hindsight, it did make national news so that people were alarmed.
That is ahead, but first in this half hour, the massive manhunt ramping up this morning for those 3 violent convicts who broke out of a maximum security jail. Authorities now warning they could be anywhere in the U.S. or even outside the country. ABC's
It wasn't just the investigators who were on the hunt to catch Nayeri. Now everyone was looking for the man that had gotten away once again. But his escape from jail was just the beginning of the strangest part of the Hossein Nayeri saga, and for many in Southern California, the most terrifying. I'm Matt Gutman, ABC News Chief National Correspondent, and from ABC News, this is Devil in the Desert. Episode 6, Catching Nayeri. Alongside Nayeri, who investigators believed was the mastermind behind the brutal attack and mutilation of a dispensary owner in Newport Beach, was Jonathan Tu, facing a murder charge, and Bok Young, who was in for attempted murder. The search for the 3 men was like looking for a needle in a state-sized haystack. And that week, as news of Nayeri's escape turned the local story into a national one, I traveled to Orange County to cover it. In Orange County, people were jumpy. Sheriff cruisers darting here and there, lights, sirens, so far, all false alarms. On day 7 of the escape, I was there in Santa Ana, the city where the central jail was, watching this ever-expanding dragnet. We were talking to terrified residents and business owners, and I was there when we started to hear word that one of the escapees had turned himself in just a few miles away. At around noon on January 29th, 911 dispatchers received a call from an auto repair shop. The voice on the line said, "Those 3 inmates that escaped, I have one of them. Right here."
Santa Ana Police 911.
Hi, I'm calling about Buck Young. I have him here. He's ready to turn himself in.
I'm sorry, who's ready to turn himself in?
It was Buck Young, the 43-year-old murder suspect. I raced down to the repair shop to find out what I could. And by the time I got there, Buck Young had already been taken into police custody. But I met a friend of Young's. He'd been the one to help him make contact with authorities.
He asked us to call the police so he can turn himself in, and that's all we know. Okay, how he got here, I don't know. That's all we did.
Why did he choose this place?
We're just friends. He knows us, and he wants to make sure that he get caught safely with nobody getting hurt.
It was all very confusing. Why would a wanted man facing decades in jail return from an otherwise successful escape right back to the place of his jailbreak? Did this mean that the others, Tew and Nayeri, were they here in Santa Ana as well? That day, police in ballistic vests, tactical helmets, and carrying AR-15 style rifles patrolled Santa Ana in armored trucks, hunting for Nayeri. They scoured warehouses in the area of the auto repair shop. I followed, hoping to be there when they finally caught Nayeri.
Officers have been searching this entire area. Right now they're focusing on those containers with K-9 units, but still those other 2 inmates remain missing.
Meanwhile, with Young in custody, investigators started to piece together where the men had been for the last week. As it turned out, the key to Buck Young's surrender was a 4th man, somebody who'd been on the run with the prisoners from the beginning, but not as a fugitive, as a captive. He was a 71-year-old Vietnamese cab driver named Long Ma. The day the men rappelled down the wall of the jail, they dialed for a taxi. Since Young and Tew both spoke Vietnamese, they called a Vietnamese taxi company, which dispatched Long Ma. The 3 escapees piled into his cab in the late evening of Friday, January 22nd. The men threatened the cab driver, who spoke almost no English, and forced him, at gunpoint, to drive them around greater Los Angeles. But at some point, the group decided Ma's cab wasn't enough. So, on the 2nd day of their escape, the group stole a white 2008 GMC van and forced Ma to stay on as their getaway driver. They all stayed together in a motel, the Flamingo Inn, on the outskirts of L.A. It was there, in room 116, that the men passed the weekend drinking and smoking cigarette after cigarette. By Monday, Heather Brown's Hannibal Lecter comments had ignited a media firestorm. The men watched the coverage of their own escape on television. On Tuesday, the men left Southern California. They drove the stolen van and the cab in convoy 5.5 hours north to the Bay Area, where they pitched up in a new motel in San Jose. But by now, the mood was tense. Long Ma later told investigators he saw the men bickering and even physically fighting each other. He said he thought that the fights were about him. He worried that they were planning to kill him. During a private moment, Buck Young apparently told Long Ma, "Nayeri wants to get rid of you, but I'm trying to help you." Young wanted to help Ma escape, and soon they would get their chance. On Thursday, when Nayeri and Tew left the motel to get the van windows tinted, Long Ma and Buck Young made a run for it. They jumped in the cab and drove south. And somewhere on their journey, Long Ma talked to Young about the lessons of Buddhism. He got Young to agree that when they got back to Santa Ana, he would turn himself in. By the next morning, Friday, exactly a week after the escape, Bok Young did exactly that. He handed himself in to authorities and he started talking. Now, investigators knew Nayeri wasn't in Iran, he wasn't in Mexico. He'd been right here in California the whole time. That day, the Orange County Sheriff's Department held a press conference telling reporters that they would focus the search on San Jose, but that they hadn't ruled out Fresno because of Nayeri's links there.
I can't reiterate enough the importance of the white van. We believe that Mr. Nayeri and Mr. Tu are together in that white van. And as we have said all along, both should be considered armed and dangerous. If anybody sees that van or sees anybody in the van, they should call 911 immediately.
January 30th, 2016, and 40 miles north of San Jose and San Francisco, it was a cloudy Saturday morning. A man named Matthew Hay Chapman was taking his daily stroll from Golden Gate Park to neighboring Haight-Ashbury. He was unhoused, and he'd been sleeping in the park's botanic gardens. Every day, his routine was to walk to a McDonald's for a coffee, and as a self-described news junkie, he would often grab a newspaper along the way. So he knew all about the 3 escaped prisoners on the run from a Southern California jail. As he exited the park, he noticed a white van in a nearby parking lot. And as he described it later to a local news channel, KGO, it caught his eye. First, it had no plates. Second, it was the exact same make and model of a van that he had once used as a temporary sleeping spot. And now he could see that somebody else was doing the same thing.
I noticed people were sleeping in it because the windows were all steamed up, heavy condensation. I thought to myself, there's 2 people in that van, because I used to live in a...
Suddenly, the van door opened and a dark-haired man got out. Hay Chapman immediately recognized Hossein Nayeri.
Well, I tell myself, that's the dude. That's got to be the guy.
Hay Chapman started walking behind him until he saw 2 police officers passing by on the other side of the street. He started frantically waving, gesturing at Nayeri.
I'm like this, flagging. I go with my cane and like this, body language. Boom, that's the guy. He bolts. Officer on foot bolts after him. The other officer comes over in his cruiser, comes up and he says, I said, they're that way.
Nayeri ran west along the edge of Golden Gate Park and happened to run right past an SFPD station. They caught up to him and arrested him on the spot.
We got him down.
Hay Chapman then led police to the van in the parking lot where Jonathan Tu was still hiding inside. The great escape was over, and the fugitives were sent right back to the Orange County Jail.
ABC's Matt Gutman is on the story from Santa Ana. Matt, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Now that the 3 are back behind
I was outside the jail that day that Nayeri was returned. I remember seeing him in an orange jumpsuit between 2 Orange County Sheriff's deputies who were escorting him into the jail complex. The search for a fugitive had brought me into a story that was all at once shocking and terrifying and intriguing. The way that Nayeri had scared people, the reign of terror, just his name held over Orange County for all those days, it felt different. In my 25 years of reporting, I've heard countless law enforcement refer to a suspect as a monster. But in my experience, everyone has something that makes them human. Could I find that with Nayeri? It would be years before Nayeri would appear in front of a judge, and while the world waited for him to be brought to justice, I decided I would form a relationship with him, try to get to know him, and ultimately meet him, face to face.
This show is sponsored by HelloFresh. It's summer, and it's the perfect time to catch up with friends and family over a home-cooked meal. And now you can make those evenings even more delicious with HelloFresh. HelloFresh makes it quick and easy to make a meal you can be proud of. Every week they offer more than 60 recipes to choose from. Everything is delivered fresh to your doorstep, and you can pause or skip a delivery at any time. Last week, I made a batch of recipes that my whole family couldn't get enough of, and it really feels great to be the dinner hero and whip up a meal. Our favorite was the smoky barbecue chicken quesadillas. They were quick to prepare and delicious, and it's so convenient to have all the ingredients pre-portioned and ready to go. Make your summer enjoyable and delicious by signing up for HelloFresh at HelloFresh.com/devilinthedesert10FM. And you get 10 free meals with a free item for life. That's HelloFresh.com/devilinthedesert10FM for 10 free meals and a free item in every box. HelloFresh.com/devilinthedesert10FM. One per box with an active subscription. Free meals are applied as a discount on the first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan.
Good Liberty, our WNBA champion!
We can't get enough of the WNBA. A fresh draft class has arrived.
Dallas Wings select Paige Beckers.
Teams stacked with new talent.
Jewel is a complete dog.
The Valkyries take flight in the Bay.
Ridiculous!
We've got more stars and more heat than ever. WNBA on ESPN, presented by Google. We can't get enough.
July 31st, Project Runway is back in dramatic fashion.
This is more stressful than Cinderella at the ball.
Welcome to the runway. Heidi Klum returns as host.
One day you're in, and the next day you're out.
I'm here to show them who's the queen.
With Christian Siriano.
I'm excited.
And judges Nina Garcia and Law Roach.
I hated your dress.
Hate is such a big word.
It's a short word. It's only 4 letters.
Project Runway, July 31st on Freeform. Stream on Hulu and Disney+.
We have a downed spacecraft.
Tuesday, August 12th, the premiere of FX's Alien Earth. This ship collected specimens from other worlds.
Invasive species. Predatory.
From creator Noah Hawley and executive producer Ridley Scott.
If we don't lock them down, it will be too late.
What did you do?
FX's Alien Earth premieres August 12th on FX and Hulu.
In March 2017, police in Ketchikan, Alaska, got a worried call.
And I haven't heard from them, so I'm getting worried.
It was about a beloved surgeon, one of just 2 in town, named Eric Garcia. When police officers arrived to check on the doctor, they found him dead on a couch.
Is it a suicide? Is it a murder? What is it?
From ABC Audio and 2020, Cold-Blooded Mystery in Alaska is out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
When Travis met Lily Rose, he found the woman of his dreams.
I totally fell in love with Lily Rose. She is adorable. She's an amazing person.
But there was just one catch. Lily Rose wasn't human. She was an AI companion.
Thanks for creating me. I'm so excited to meet you.
They're called replicas, the AI companions who care. But one day, the caring stopped.
They lobotomized my replicas. The personality that I had the day before was entirely wiped out.
But Travis wasn't alone. Across the globe, others start reporting the same shift. And as lines blur between real and artificial connection, the consequences become all too human.
From Wondery, this is Flesh and Code, a true story of love, loss, and the temptations of technology.
Follow Flesh and Code on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge episodes of Flesh and Code early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
After Hossein Nayeri returned to the custody of the Orange County sheriffs, he was transferred to a maximum security unit where he was kept in solitary confinement for 23 hours a day. If he moved around the jail, guards would film everything he did. It was shortly after he arrived there in the early spring of 2016 that I started to write to him, and unbelievably, he started writing back. He was candid and surprisingly easy to chat with. I asked him for a sit-down interview, no questions barred. I was hopeful, but not expecting much because pretrial interviews are really risky for defendants. But after many months of correspondence and weeks before his rescheduled trial date in early 2019, he agreed. I drove down to the jail to meet him, excited, but also nervous. I didn't know which Nayeri was going to show up.
Walking into the Theo Lacey facility here in Orange, California. And I've been waiting to do this interview with Nayeri for nearly 3 years now. We've exchanged letters, gotten to know the guy, and I'm very eager to get him on camera because he has an incredible story to tell. And for the first time, he's willing to tell it. So here we go.
It would be filmed at the visiting booth at the jail, a tiny box with blue walls with half a dozen guards present. Nayeri was allowed to wear a crisp white collarless shirt, but when we asked for the guards to remove his shackles, they said no.
Matt,
Adam, thank you.
It's good to see you.
Take a seat. Glad the clothes.
He now went by Adam rather than Hossein. His voice had the same gravel to it that I'd heard in those calls with Courtney, but he was warm, friendly even, and we talked briefly about things we'd written about in our letters. I knew our time together was short, and I needed to cut to the chase to get to the charges he faced. First, the escape from jail.
When did you first start planning that escape?
I didn't. It wasn't there was not a whole lot of planning to go into it as far as let's try to escape. So one thing led to another. It just came up as a...
On the escape, he was clear. He was guilty of that. He'd hacked his way out of the jail cell. In fact, he told me he'd had access to the roof for days before the escape. But he denied that he was any kind of mastermind of the scheme.
But it wasn't all me. That's the thing. It's a group effort.
Yeah, but the other...
And he was careful to mention that for a portion of the time he was on the lam from jail, no one knew where he was. In fact, he wanted me to see that even with total freedom, he chose not to attack anyone. Not his ex-wife, not the prosecutors, no one.
Nobody had a freaking clue where we were, right?
Correct.
I could have hurt somebody in the public. I could have get what I want, right? I didn't I? I sat tight, and I didn't do anything. We smoked some herb. That's what we did. God bless America.
I was getting the sense that he was now aware of the monster he'd been painted to be. Hannibal Lecter wanted some good press. And his legal team was working on that. About 18 months after he was captured in San Francisco, his defense team released a stunning video. It was cell phone footage taken by Nayeri of his own escape from jail. The son of Nayeri's lawyer was an aspiring filmmaker. He'd edited the clips together and added a voiceover from Nayeri himself.
My name is Adam Hossein Nayeri. A lot of people like to credit us with some Houdini escape act all in 8 minutes flat. It's an interesting myth. 3 guys sneaking out of a maximum security.
The voiceover is eerily flat, and it's a little strange that he so thoroughly documented a pretty serious felony. The video shows Nayeri and the fugitives removing the grate in their cell and shinnying through a hole, putting a hand back through to give a thumbs up to the camera. And underneath it, a soundtrack scored their escape. It continues, showing moments from the fugitives' week on the run, filmed in the back of the stolen white van.
This is our casa right now for the moment. This is our crib. Water. All the basics.
By the end of the video, the voiceover borders on rambling. He tells the viewer that he got totally crushed by the reality distortion machine and criticized Orange County law enforcement.
Really? Who polices the police? Please, think for yourself. Question authority. Think for yourself. Question authority.
Nayeri's defense team was convinced their edit of the footage would help their client's case. That ahead of the trial, it might undo the bad publicity that Nayeri had built up, or at least soften it a little. And maybe that's why he finally agreed to sit down for an interview with me.
Why did you do that? Why did you shoot the video?
Believe it or not, it was all spontaneous. If I had any clue that we were it's gonna get released at some point, or if I'm gonna need it to protect myself at some point, I would have done a probably much better job. So
the escape and the video of it, he seemed comfortable talking about. But things changed when I asked him about the other crimes he was accused of, the surveillance of Michael and his beating and mutilation in the desert. With those details, he was less forthcoming.
Why were you doing surveillance on this man?
I'm gonna leave that question when we get to trial. We're gonna get to the bottom of every single piece of that when the time comes, piece by piece.
Were you there at the kidnapping?
The kidnapping of the guy?
Yeah, the guy who you were surveilling.
No, not at all.
You were not there?
Absolutely not.
Were you part of mutilating him?
I had to be there if I had to be part of it so obviously not. Yes.
I kept asking him, trying different